Today's episode on the Oscars special, we are jumping back in the Sofa Cinema Club time machine, and we are going to have a look at Oscars in previous years. And the years that we are going back to is the years of our birth. Or is it year? The year of our birth.
Yes, I wasn't born in different years. When were you born? 70 to 80.
Now, I'm going to do this the only logical way, and we are going to go back to the oldest person in the room. So we're jumping in the time machine right now, and we're going back to what? 90...
You literally are making it sound like it's black and white television.
60...
60s. It's got to be 60s.
1944. 1971.
1971, we're in the machine.
Film is Patton, George C. Scott.
He got Best Actor.
Best Actor, Best Film. It has an iconic monologue at the top, which is him. It's a huge American flag. And it's an iconic shot. He comes into shot and it's him in front of that flag and he delivers this extraordinary monologue as a General Patton. And it's one of the most famous scenes in film. You won't have seen it. But of that film, it was extraordinary.
I think it was Nicholson's first...
Oscar nom.
Yeah, I think.
Might have been.
Because I think he holds the record, doesn't he, for
Yeah.
most Oscar-nominated male actor.
The females.
Meryl Streep. She's got like
Streep,
129 or 21, I think it is.
Let me ask you this then. So if we're talking about 1971 there, the Oscars, how long have they been about? When did they start to become so prestigious? What is it about the Oscars that makes them
30s,
the biggest of the biggest?
It was in a room. It was a small room, I think, that was in Hollywood, and they gave out 10 Oscars or less to a group of themselves. So it was only a group of actors that gave out awards. Then it became bigger and bigger. I think a lot of it is to do with... I would have thought, actually, the 70s and 80s were the biggest moment.
Yeah.
for the
That was the
Oscars.
one.
Yeah.
That was the time when they were making... They'd make a huge difference to a film. And they were big movies that were winning. Big films.
And I know we spoke yesterday on Extraterrestrial about how the films now, there are so many of them that are Oscar nominated, but back in 1971, are we literally talking about... Yeah. So a handful of nominations.
And if you won, it's a big deal.
Okay.
It's a big deal for the film, because you've got to remember, you haven't got the streaming services. You're not going to get and see it on telly. You're not going to go and see it on VHS. Remember, 71. So you're only going to go to the cinema. So if it wins an Oscar, you're going to the cinema and paying money to see that film.
So it's kind of progressed in time from 1930s, it literally just being 30 actors in a room deciding who wins. And then in the 70s, it really is hitting its pinnacle. And like you said, Ben.
But I think cinema is hitting its pinnacle.
Yeah. And I guess if you're at home in the 70s, the cinema is a luxury, isn't it, in these days?
But also you've got to remember, so because obviously I am that old, if you wanted to see that film and you don't see it at the cinema,
You
don't see the film.
And I guess if you're at home and you have the money to be able to go to the cinema, you are going to watch the film that's won the Oscar.
Yeah, I know it was a big deal because those movies, remember, films at the time when they came out, like now you have a ton of films which are sequels, a ton of films that are genre films, you might have Marvel films, you might have horror films, and then it is the 5 big films. There could be horror, there could be this, but there's not an enormous choice. They're all shot on film, they're all extremely expensive to make, and you can only see them at the cinema.
And
that was the first year that someone refused an Oscar as well.
George C. Scott.
For Best Actor. He refused it because he said the Oscars was like a meat market and it was a 2-hour event where people would turn up and the Academy would earn a load of money, and he didn't believe in it, basically. He refused the Oscar, and he's the first person to do it. And then Brando did it a couple of years later.
Before we jump to find out what won the year Jack was born, I just want to say one thing that really gets me now about the Oscars and awards and cinema in general is, so when you think about the Oscars that are this week and you think about all those films that are on and think about what's on at the cinema, then you can't watch all the Oscar films. They're not... Licorice Pizza has not had a mainstream cinema release. But if you look at the cinema now, you can watch Channing Tatum and a dog. You can watch Uncharted, but you can't, yes, Batman and Spider-Man are amazing films, but they're on 14 times a day, and Belfast is on twice a day.
There's no money in it.
But how come this, how come the Oscars is still this pinnacle, and this is the pinnacle of cinema?
I don't know whether it is.
But no one's watching the films.
I don't know whether it is the pinnacle.
They are watching the films. They are.
People
I know what you're saying.
People like us who like films are.
Yeah.
But I bet if you go to the View on a Saturday, I bet Belfast has 10 people in, and I bet Batman is full every day.
Saying.
Yeah, but that's a blockbuster, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I suppose is
why aren't they nominated?
Yeah, but also in the time when I was born and film was on, you could see them all, and they were all well known.
Yeah. So it's that question.
They were all big films. When you went to the cinema, you were only going once or twice a month. You were seeing the big film, and they were all released in your big cinemas, in the big screen. Because the Odeon, remember back in the day, just had one massive screen. So when I saw Rocky for the first time, you were 1,000 people watching a film. Or what? I mean, it was packed. Everyone's smoking and having a fight.
Yeah.
But it was an event. So that's what Colson's trying to say is, and I agree, is that film then, everyone could see it.
We're leaving 1971 and, we're going back into the days of colour. What year are we going to?
We're off to 88.
1988.
Rock and roll age, that.
You completely made that up. Rock and roll, 1980. I was a teenager in 1988. It wasn't rock and roll, dude. Someone's dressed in tartan as a new romantic.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
88. Big win for the Last Emperor. Won everything.
It did.
In 88. Best film, best director.
Yeah.
Actor, however, good one. Good, solid one. Michael Douglas, Wall Street.
Very good.
Gordon Gekko.
Very good. Solid.
Solid.
Not a bad year. Last Emperor, not a big fan.
No,
Gordon
same.
Gekko, very good.
Yeah.
Best actress, Cher?
Yeah.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck.
Very good.
But beat Glenn Close, Fatal Attraction.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the talking point.
Yeah, I would have gone Glenn Close.
I would have gone Glenn Close.
Moonstruck's very good.
Yeah. But funnily enough, Douglas don't get nominated for
Producer. Oh, no.
For Fatal Attraction. So he's nominated for Wall Street.
Yeah, he wasn't his film. Fatal
Yeah, but
Attraction.
interesting, Wall Street, I think he probably could have been Best Supporting Actor.
I know what you mean.
Do you know what I mean? He's not in it that much. It's Charlie Sheen who's sort of like the protagonist in it.
Yeah.
But
He has got, but that also the Oscars have a thing about that, don't they? Where, like we did, that woman who won in Network, and she did 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Those times when someone just chose an electric piece of
I
acting.
suppose, yeah.
And Wall Street was a real...
Yeah.
Of the time, it was just right on that zeitgeist, isn't it?
So, in 1971, the Oscars, is it still a red carpet event and is it still televised?
You've got to remember, I've only just been born. You're making it sound like I was born in 1914. So Ben, in the cot, what were you being pushed, or were you feeding off?
Well, I'm just interested because I'm just like looking at some stuff, and in 1971, a pint of milk was 5p. And now we're in 1988 and a pint of milk is 26p. So a lot's happening, but I'm wondering what's happening to the Oscars.
You're making it sound like there was fire, the wheel, in 1971. But before that, did people talk? Did they use cooking?
But is it
with the knives and forks? It's literally not that long.
But like now,
it's literally like
this week. A big question will be what are people wearing? What are people like that?
That's always been the case. You're
Yeah.
trying to say, was that the case in 1971?
Yes.
And I'd imagine it was. Yeah.
Okay.
What are people wearing? What designer dress have they got on? Taking photos of the girls.
But I mean, to think that was the same in the 30s or the 40s or the 50s. You look at pictures of the Oscars from the 50s. It's what clothes people were wearing, or it's the glamour of Hollywood, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The only thing that changed was, through Hollywood, without a doubt, was how much was reported on Hollywood. Back in the old days, very little was reported. So you had these big events which were reported, but the bit in between about the actor wasn't reported.
Okay.
So it's
You're
just them going in.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
that's
them
why they
coming out.
became stars.
So
You didn't see them out of their.
the actor was only ever the character. That's what.
Well,
you
the
knew
actor
them as.
was at the award dressed up. It
Yeah.
wasn't
Okay. Yeah.
doing his washing in his bath.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? Going down to the co-op. The actor was
Yep.
that, and then that's all they did. But the 70s, yeah, I think it would have been exactly the same.
Shall we jump back in the time machine?
Where are we off? 98.
1998.
Can I have a guess?
You can have a guess. We've done it because we've covered it. We've
covered
not.
the film.
We haven't covered it, but I asked the question of the highest grossing movie is what sums up.
So it's Titanic, isn't it?
Titanic was best picture, yep.
So best actor. 98. I should know this.
You should know this because it's your favourite actor in the entire world.
Oh, As Good as It Gets.
Yeah.
Nicholson.
Yeah. So, but one thing that caught me by surprise,
Film.
because I never ever expected this to have been nominated for an Oscar, and I also didn't know it was 1998, but Full Monty.
Yeah.
Full Monty was up for Best Picture
Yeah.
that year,
Yeah.
which is a surprise because, I mean, that shocked me. Massively shocked me, actually.
Why?
I just didn't expect that to be an Oscar-nominated movie. I mean, it's a film that I love. I didn't expect a film made in Sheffield to have done that
Yeah,
much.
I suppose.
I mean, is it unheard of? I guess not. You know, Kenneth Branagh's done a similar thing with Belfast this year, hasn't he? But for me, you know, Full Monty is something that I know because obviously Yorkshire, that kind of connection, and it's a film that I kind of grew up with, and I just never expected that to be.
An Oscar nom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
You see where he's going. I mean, it's like a low
They did have a
budget-
thing. They did have a thing, though, didn't they? Naked was. Mike Lee was getting nominated.
Yeah.
They did have a thing where
They do sort of go through these
Yeah.
themes.
then they
Oscar.
had Chariots
What's
of Fire one.
What's the flavour of the month?
And then
Like,
there was that famous speech where he said the English are coming up, or the British are coming, about films with Chariots of Fire. That there was a resurgence. Gandhi War.
Yeah.
You know, there were. But I know what you mean. It doesn't strike me as an Oscar film.
Yeah, I just thought it was very interesting. But yeah, 1998 was literally dominated.
What was it? What were people wearing in '98? I mean,
I mean,
people watching tellies
we're
and stuff?
talking flares and, you know, flary
Did
suits.
people drive in '98 with a car?
Just about, yeah, just about. And obviously it was the baby boom of Coulson.
flares.
But what is interesting is obviously Titanic did completely dominate, and then the other film that was out that year was Good Will Hunting, which I've never seen.
Have you not?
No, and Robin Williams won
Good
for
film
that.
for you, I think.
Yeah,
Good Will Hunting. I think
film.
you'd like it.
yeah. But Titanic, I mean, how many did Titanic
Got
win?
11,
Yeah, I mean,
which is the record. That
Is it?
and It's joint with Ben-Hur and Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, which I think is an absolute piss take. Why that won 11 Oscars is beyond
Lord
me.
of the Rings won 11 Oscars.
The third one, which I think is the shittest.
Is that the one with the dragon?
They've basically given him 11 Oscars because they've gone, fuck, we haven't given him anything for the other two.
Pile them in. Put them in the bag. Put them in the bag.
Yeah.
Put them all in the bag.
Second one's the best,
Yeah.
I think. Then the first. Second one's Empire Strikes Back. Second one, really good. First one, really good. Third one, shite. Nothing really good about it. Just goes on too long.
You know when you have
It's
people
pointless. It's
commenting on the
pointless.
Oscars and you go, hey, and here we go, live bet to Jeff P. Shepherd. First one, shit. Can you imagine?